I love Mother's Day for two main reasons. Number one, I get to celebrate my amazing mother. And two, it marks the beginning of caddis season. Now, if you've never been on the river during an epic caddis hatch, it's something you've got to experience during your lifetime. And one of my go-to caddis patterns is the Elk Hair Caddis. It's super effective and easy to see. You're definitely going to want to add a bunch of these to your box in sizes 12 to 16. To tie this fly, you'll need a dry fly hook. Today I'm tying this in size 14, the size I fish the most, some brown 72 denier thread, some small copper wire, some brown superfine dubbing, some appropriately sized dry fly hackle in brown, and some elk hair. All right, gather up your materials. Let's get tying. All right, first things first, let's get our hook secure in the vise. Now we'll attach our thread to the hook, wrapping 1 or 2 times forward, then back on top of itself. With that secure, grab your scissors and trim off the tag end. Now we'll dress our hook with a light thread base. Notice I'm keeping a gap of about 2 hook eyes in length at the front. This space is going to come in handy later on when we're attaching our elk hair. Grab some small copper wire and your all-purpose scissors and cut off 2 to 3 inches. We'll hold it at an angle, take 2 loose wraps over the top, then slide it to even with our thread base. We'll wrap back to the end of our thread base and then forward again. Now let's grab our super fine brown dubbing and create a 3 to 4 inch dubbing noodle. With that formed, we'll create a slightly tapered body back up to the end of our thread base. And then we're going to lay down a small layer of thread, which is going to give our hackle something to hold on to. Let's prep our hackle by pulling down on the base end of the feather, exposing the barbules, and then trimming a portion of the feather on both sides. Hold the feather at an angle, attach it with 1 loose wrap, followed by a few more tight wraps, and then trim any excess as needed. Now we'll wrap our hackle back to the end of our dubbed body in open spirals. Once we reach our wire, switch the hackle to your left hand and start to wrap the wire with your right. Then switch again as needed to complete 1 or 2 turns. After that, you should be able to let go of the feather. Continue to wrap the wire back up to the front in open spirals. Then wrap thread on both sides. And helicopter the excess wire free. Then take a few more wraps to smooth out the base. And now we can snip off the excess hackle feather. Time to prep our elk hair. Snip off a good clump of hair. And while holding the tips, use a brush or your fingers to clear out any broken hairs or underfur. Put the hair in your stacker, tip side down, and give it a good half a dozen taps on the table. Then angle your stacker upward just slightly and pull it apart, exposing the evenly stacked hairs. Grab them all at once And let's hold it up to our fly to make sure we have the right amount of hair. Fanning them out, you should have about 2 hook gaps of hair. With the right amount of hair, we'll place it on top of our fly, lining up the tips with the back end of the hook. Then we'll take our left hand and hold them in place. Now this is where things can go wrong in a hurry, so take your time. Take one loose wrap over the top of the hair and give it a slight tug. Then make another wrap, this time a little bit tighter. You can see the ends of the hair starting to splay out. This is a good thing. And now we're going to come in with our right hand and make sure those hairs are still on top of the hook and they haven't started twisting around the backside, which they usually do. And if this happens, just twist them back on top. Then we're going to give it a few more wraps, getting tighter and tighter as we go. And after each wrap, we're going to stop and make sure that that elk hair is still on top of the hook. After about 5 or 6 wraps, you can let go of the hair and make any needed adjustments. And then we're going to give it 1 or 2 more tight wraps, making sure that all the hair is secure and again, sitting on top of the hook. Then we'll pull back half of the hairs and wrap 1 or 2 times in between, and then lift them all up, exposing the hook eye, and add a couple more securing wraps. Now grab your whip finisher and a little bit of determination, and while holding your bobbin in your left hand, pull all the hairs back and give it a good 3 to 4 turn whip finish. Then we'll come in and trim off our thread. And obviously we've got to deal with this elk hair, so we'll grab the ends and our scissors and trim them at an upward angle. And you can see that our elk hair is on top of the hook, leaving the hook eye clear with plenty of room to tie on your tippet. And I can definitely tell you one thing, this bad boy is going to catch some fish. If you found this tutorial helpful and easy to follow along, be sure to check out all of our other tutorials here. And if you want to check out all of our weekly tips and be part of an awesome community of anglers, be sure to subscribe.